In this interview with Mikey, he shares tips on how to decide what passion to pursue when you're starting a YouTube channel, how to turn it into a business, and how his part-time hobby gained him 3 million subscribers. Coming up.
YouTube Secrets is out now in physical, digital, and now audio. Learn the strategies of today's top video influencers in this step-by-step YouTube success playbook. Get your copy today at tubesecretsbook.com.
What's up, influencers? Welcome to another interview here on Video Influencers, where we're helping you build your influence, income, and impact with online videos. I have a special guest, Mikey Bustos.
Hi guys, hello.
Thank you so much for being on our channel. Epic creator, singer-songwriter, actor, comedian, all-around amazing YouTuber. Has a channel doing comedy, some skits, parodies. Mikey Bustos, about 880,000 subscribers. You got your vlog channel, 150,000 subscribers, right? And both amazing. However, you've got a third channel that's got almost 3 million subscribers.
Yes,
right?
Yep.
But we're not going to talk about that one right now. You're going to have to hang on, but that is the one I really want to get into. But let's first talk about your origin story, how you got started, and where you're at today.
Okay. So I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. And I actually had my first taste of being in the public eye through a singing competition called Canadian Idol. It was season 1, right after Ruben Studdard got crowned.
Yep.
They came to Canada, and I joined that, and I placed 8th on the show, and after that I pursued an entertainment career, just singing, right? Eventually it's hard to keep riding on those Canadian Idol coattails, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel because everyone was being discovered at the time through YouTube, Justin Bieber, etc. I started a YouTube channel, and I was doing different vlogs every day, singing, topic vlogs, and one time I did a skit, Filipino comedy skit, and that went viral. So that determined from then on the direction of my comedy entertainment career.
Yeah. 1,800 plus videos on YouTube. How crazy is that?
That is pretty crazy. That's 1,800 videos of editing and life you can't get back. I just realized that right now. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, on that note, I love that you mentioned the editing, because I did watch a whole bunch of your videos, and that was one of the things that stuck out. You said, of all the things you spend a lot of time on, it's editing, right?
Yes.
So first off, tell us about why you spend so much time with editing, and any tips you have for creators who are just starting out, or maybe they've started and they're still having challenges, because I do believe the magic of editing is where everything happens. Obviously there's things that happen before and afterwards, but let's dive into that a little bit.
Editing in itself is definitely an art form, and you get better at it the more you do it. It's one of those things you have to fall in love with. It's part of the video making process. If I'm not in love with the editing of that video, it shows in the content. For example, when I'm editing for my third channel, which we'll be talking about in a bit, so stay tuned. I have my coffee, I make sure I'm well rested, and I'm excited. I literally have to be excited during the editing process, because it's really a mental thing too. So for those of you who are just getting into editing and stuff, take a mental note to kind of fall in love with the process. Like, take notes on what you love doing the most, and if you don't like the editing part, like, possibly partner with someone who loves to edit, because it really translates into the material.
Yeah, really important. When I first started my food channel, it was similar. I actually went into the Apple store and took one-on-one courses to get better at it, because I understood that I could be super passionate on camera, but the editing is where you have the timing, right? You bring in the graphics, so every little bit helps, and that's where you can scale everything up. But another thing I want to dive into is, let's split it into 4 different parts, right? So we've got planning, preparation, then we've got the recording piece, then we've got the editing piece, and then we've got the post-production, upload, distribution, and engagement. Could you break that up? If you had to divide 100% of your time spent on one project, how much is spent on those 4 pieces?
Oh, okay. Well, it depends on which channel we're talking about.
Right.
So let's start with my simplest channel. So let's say it's the daily vlog. So I also do daily vlogs, just like Benji and Judy. And for that, it's most of my time for that is probably, I would say about 70%.
Okay.
the recording process of it. You know what I mean? And the prep. Like, I mean, I'll do a little research sometimes on, you know, the area, and so I know what to talk about, so I'm not just spewing just jargon. And then we pass it on to our editor. Before, I used to edit the stuff every day. I don't know how Judy does it. But I eventually burned out, which we'll also get back. We'll get into later, so stay tuned for that. And then I passed on the work to an editor who now handles most of that work. So now all I have to focus on is the creative stuff. So for daily vlogs, it's about 60-70% of my time. For 7 years, it was pretty much 100% me through the whole thing. And a big chunk of that was editing. It really was. Like, I mean, for the editing process, it was sorting through the shots and then recording a voiceover. I think the videos on that channel take at least 35 hours from beginning to end a week. And those followers for that channel are always like, oh, we want more videos. And I'm I physically cannot do it.
And that's one thing we haven't dived into a lot with other interviews, is talking about the editing process. But I saw an interview where you mentioned, like, you know, that's where I really take the most time. So thank you so much. You've got 3 channels.
Yes.
And a lot of people are struggling just with one channel. What is the advice, or what has been your experience, or what are your like habits or best practices to be able to balance, you know, obviously life, but be able to put up content on multiple channels? What do you do?
It's really just a matter of streamlining the work. Like, expand your team. I mean, at first you got to do everything. It's kind of like a business. You start off doing everything yourself.
And you didn't have 3 channels in the beginning, right?
I didn't.
You started with 1.
Yes, And then eventually when you start to earn, you can expand your team. And even if you're not earning, there are a lot of people out there who are willing to be part of a team, right? You know, and be part of this whole YouTube craze. So yeah, partnering, there are lots of students who need the experience that you could partner with. And so yeah, that is really the best way to do it. And yeah, you're right. It's funny you mentioned balance, work balance. I'm only discovering this still today, even after almost a decade of YouTubing. Can we talk about multiple channels?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I find multiple channels are really important, guys, because YouTube is kind of a volatile space, right, to work in. And you just never know how long a channel will last. So it's kind of like running a farm, like planting different crops of different sizes, just in case you have a drought on one of the crops. You still have these other places you can earn outside of YouTube. So, and that's the reason why RJ and I, my manager, have multiple channels. People are like, you're crazy. Why do you do multiple channels? Your other content might be suffering, but in our opinion, it's good to have multiple channels.
There's this thing called the cluster effect, where your one channel is affecting your other channel, which is affecting the other channel, right? And we're going to talk about that 3rd channel soon. But even with that being so different from the other ones, you have these core fans that watch all your content, right? And that cluster effect is great for watch time. Like, YouTube understands this, right? So it's helping each other out. But one of my questions I love that you mentioned team. If you had to start all of this over, right? And you're starting by yourself, what would be the first position you hire, or the first task you delegate out to somebody else?
It would probably be camera. DOP, like having someone think about, you know, angles, lighting, all of this, because when I'm trying to conceptualize a video, I don't want to have to think about this light should be there, then have to flip up a screen.
Then you can really focus on the content, right? The creative side, especially if you're entertaining people. Like, you can't be worried about pressing record or all those settings. You know, Nice Chris is always behind these lenses. I love your answer, because there's a lot of people out there that can be your camera person, and they don't have to be trained or skillful, right? Like, even if all they're doing is hitting record and stop. Record and stop, just helping you, because you don't want to sift through like 2 hours of just one big clip.
Right. And then probably the second would be editing. help editing, right?
But you still are part of that process, right? That editing process.
I mean, like, again, it's like running a business. You want to be part of all levels of your company.
Speaking of business, right? One of the reasons why I just love you as a creator, and I think you are one of the most epic YouTubers I know, is because of this third channel. Don't get me wrong. The first channel, Mikey Bustos, in the Philippines, you're a legit celebrity. I think your fans all over the world just love you because of that channel. And the second channel just goes into a whole nother level of depth with the vlog community. But your third channel, Ants Canada. Let's show a couple clips of Ants Canada.
I'm left with no choice. If you watched our video last week, we performed a very critical biological experiment, the results of which could possibly reveal answers on how to save the Golden Empire.
But what's so crazy, this was a channel that you've developed part-time. I know that it takes a lot of time to create those videos, but really it was a hobby that turned into like a huge passion, that's turned into this amazing brand and business on YouTube. So let's talk about that, how it got its start and where it's at today, because this is a pretty unique channel.
It's pretty niche. It's pretty nerdy, actually. So, I mean, I've always loved entertainment, but I also loved like science and biology and insects. I was keeping ants. I was a big nerd, and I was really passionate about sharing it with like just anyone who loved insects like me. And so I would film them in my home around the same time I was trying to launch myself as an entertainer on YouTube. I just kept filming, and then eventually people would ask, hey, I love ant farms. Can you make me some? So I started making some in my parents' basement and selling it to them online. So I'm like, hey, maybe I can start a store. So this is what I did, like just to get, like lunch money, right? And then I went viral on my entertainment channel, eventually, which led me to here in the Philippines, doing an entertainment career. I kept doing the ant stuff, but because I was focusing on the comedy entertainment career, the ant channel just kind of, it was there. I did it when I had time. And then 7 years down the road of doing random ant videos, it just exploded one time. I can't even explain it. It must have been 2013, was it? People were getting it in the recommended feeds somehow, like millions of people all over the world. I'm like, they're like, how much did you pay YouTube? What did you do to get this? And I'm like, guys, I don't know. Like, if you guys don't want to watch ants, don't watch. But people seem to like it. It just exploded 1 year. After 7 years of uploading random, like, nerdy videos. And then it eventually surpassed. I'm like, there's no way this is gonna surpass my entertainment channel, but it did. And I was just speechless. So we kept running with it. The store orders exploded. I had to go through growing pains. Like, I had to find a call center, a BPO company to handle the customer service, because before I used to do it through email. Just company growing pains. And then, like, to manufacture the ant farms, I of course couldn't do it myself. I had to outsource, and it just became this big thing.
And so, to kind of like summarize everything you just said, and this is exactly why I want to interview you outside of the other epic things you already do. This thing that was a hobby turning into a passion outgrew anything that you would have ever desired out of it, right? But has turned into a legitimate business that's probably helped fund all the other things that you want to do, right? Or just be something you can rely on. So creatively, you've had a lot of freedom to like explore and try different things. And so don't discount a passion of yours. If you've got something, even if it's, like you're into a certain type of bug, right? Ask yourself, is there a passion of yours? Is there a hobby that you're into? Is there something that you think is weird that maybe, it wouldn't become this huge thing? But imagine how many millions of other people are like you that are starving for that content.
Correct. Right? The more obscure, the better. You know what I mean? Because there'll only be you. And I find YouTube is a great place for the audience to find you. You know what I mean? It's excellent. Unlike before, where it was a boardroom of people in suits deciding what people watched. Now it's like the people who find what they want to watch.
And don't get me wrong, the Ants channel didn't always have these epic like narrated videos.
Yeah.
Mikey's first video that I watched today was him catching a whole bunch of ants.
It was so
It was
nerdy.
like not even focused, and he was like going into the bushes, like
So
his back was
nerdy.
turned to the thing. Yeah, I thought it was nerdy, and he's dressed like he's like this hip hop artist or whatever, like in the forest. That's how it started, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not really skilled behind the camera, you don't know how to edit, don't worry about all that, because like the imagination and the creative process is going to lead you to what is going to work. And this is why we say consistency is important. Not quitting is going to be very near second to that, and you just never know what will happen. You didn't start that way. And we also suggest people pick one thing. What would be your advice on how people can decide that? Because I get this question constantly. It's like, I'm into these different things. I don't know which one to start with. What would be your advice for people out there?
I've started with 2 channels, and I uploaded consistently to both. And then whichever was doing the best, I would focus more on that. And then the second channel would be secondary. I've kind of ran with that formula. Like eventually Ants Canada and the comedy channel were doing well, and then I started the vlogging channel because me and my partner and my manager were passionate about traveling and eating and all the cool places that we get to go to. So I started that, and actually now that the 3 channels are kind of picking up, I have a 4th channel just sitting there. It's like a seat in a bed. Whenever I'm ready to, like, you know, when these 3 channels start running on their own, I'll have that there. So, you know, if you have multiple interests, by all means, you can start various channels, but some can lay dormant.
There you go.
Or they can be half alive, you know?
It doesn't mean that you can't pursue those other passions, right? It just might not get as much attention on YouTube, right? You're kind of like letting them brew, coming up with ideas. But I think that's really smart. When the algorithm gives you favorability on a certain channel, like you should go with it because it can help your other channels down the road. The last question I'm going to ask is, if you were to start all of this over, right? And you were literally starting a YouTube channel from scratch, what would be the 3 things you would focus on first that other people could learn from if they're literally starting today?
Oh, okay. Well, as you know, Benji, today is very different, YouTube right now, than before. One would probably be quality, and that, like, under that category is the equipment. If you can save up for like a good quality camera, a lot of great cameras out right now. And also quality in terms of like editing. So if you're not good at editing, there's lots of YouTube videos out there that can teach you how to use Premiere.
Hey, you're watching this video on YouTube, which you can search to get better at editing.
Correct. That's right. And like brushing up on tips, because it's good to be updated on the tech side of YouTube, because it's always changing. You know what I mean? And I was telling Benji earlier, this channel is quite challenging to run because you guys need to know all the latest about, you know, YouTube. So if you guys aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe to this channel.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, it's valuable info. I'm subscribed too. He's how I know what's up.
So number 1, quality, right? Quality in your content and editing, and then 2, getting the latest tips, right? Like finding out the best practices. What's the 3rd one?
Branding.
Yeah.
Branding is so important. Okay, so what is branding? Branding is what fonts you use, what colors you use, the voice you use, not like literally the voice, but how you communicate to people.
Like literally people should be able to watch your videos and know what it stands for.
Yeah, and they get it. You know what I mean?
And it should be related to the next upload or like the 10th upload. And like have this cohesive brand.
Yeah, there's like a branding integrity, sort of. The types of music you choose, the way you say things. Like some people like to be a little more perverse and they swear, and that's their thing. That's their branding. Some don't, you know. I think the best way I find to do this is envision in your head who's watching. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how old are they? What is their family like? Where are they from? What job do they have? You know, and when you have a clear understanding as to who would watch your stuff, your branding will come together better.
There you go. YouTube burnout. It's this big thing that people are like starting to finally dive into, even though it's always been around, right? Burnout happens when you just don't listen to the voice inside. You mentioned in your videos like, hey, when you're not feeling creative, maybe you shouldn't create. Maybe you should take a break. Can you share a little bit about how you've been able to sustain literally like, I want to say 14 years of YouTube videos. Your first video was in 2006, right? And 3 channels, 1,800 uploads, and still have success throughout all that time.
It took me 14 years to understand a sustainable way to do YouTubing because breaks are so important. I recently learned this, especially this year. I took the longest break just a couple months ago. For those of you who do follow my daily vlogs. By the way, follow my daily vlogs, Mikey Bustos vlogs. I just realized, hey, like I said, life is pretty awesome when you don't have to worry about YouTube. You know, my partner and I, we went to a beach and we kind of hung out, and it was kind of nice not having to grab my camera and, you know, think about, okay, how am I going to tell this story? And, you know, not have to think about views or my next concept that will get views and not have to worry about the paycheck and all of this. There's a certain freedom that comes with taking a break and not being scared to take a break. I think that was the hardest thing about taking a break. Like, just pure abandon. Like, I don't give an F. Let's just throw everything to the wind and just run to the horizon. That's, I think I've had 2 meltdowns that way. You shouldn't have to wait for a meltdown to take a break. So if you guys want to take a break, go. Take your break. You know what I mean? And now I'm starting to get the wheels back in motion. While I've been on a break, have been able to assemble a team for Ants Canada and just regroup. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to step back.
You mentioned it too earlier. Having multiple channels lets you have a break too, right? Like,
yes, that too.
If you got, you know, your Ants channel, the thing about those videos, they're evergreen. They're always getting views, you know, while you snooze. So you can take a break on the other channels. And like you said, right? Sometimes you would take a break on that channel and you start vlogging because that was a little more casual. It didn't take as much production. So, you know, in the beginning, obviously one focus is going to be very important, but as you move on, it's kind of like diversifying your portfolio.
I was just going to say that. Diversifying your portfolio. And also important to like make it a business model outside of the YouTube space.
There you go.
Because you just never know what might happen to YouTube, and you know, it's always good to diversify your portfolio.
There you go. You guys
take it from the pro.
Check out Mikey's channels. We'll put all the links down below. Ants Canada, Mikey Bustos Vlogs. Amazing content. Thanks. If you live in the Philippines, you probably already know him, right? If you're Filipino and live all over the world, you probably already know him. But if you don't know Mikey, check his stuff out because there's so much to learn, especially Ants Canada. I can't say that enough because it's a niche type of content that has blown up. I've met people that knew about that content that didn't know you specifically, right? They just love the content itself, right? So your face wasn't even important.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm not on the
in the beginning
videos.
you were.
In the beginning
catching
I was,
ants in the forest. Any last words of wisdom that you would love to leave with the viewers?
Just do what you love, and you know, everything will just fall in place.
There you go. Follow your passion, follow your heart. You never know what's possible with YouTube. As always, here on Video Influencers, we're helping build your influence, income, impact with online videos. We'll talk to you later.